So good day. So I got one here for the 4th of July. I couldn't find a good one for Canada Day. But for this year, we're showing Captain America. Not the good ones though. The 1990 film. So as always, let's do a quick recap on the movie, then I'll flap my gums some more after. So, alright, let's go. Okay, so the story starts off with the creation of two of our main characters. In 1936 Italy, we see a young boy named Tazio De Santis being kidnapped to be experimented on by the Italian fascists. He'll be stronger, more aggressive, and horribly disfigured. The scientist working on this, Dr. Fazeli, she's like, no way, man, you're doing this on kids? That's horrible. I'm out of here. So she takes off, she defects to the US, and she creates Project Rebirth for the US Army. That's America's version of the super soldier, without the aggression or the disfigurement. So we find our hero, Steve Rogers, who has polio. He is the best candidate out of 600 volunteers for this Project Rebirth. The guy with polio is your best candidate. What was wrong with the other 599 people? Anywho, Steve says goodbye to his girlfriend Bernice, goes with the army to a secret laboratory that's underneath Roz's cafe. A secret experimental lab in the civilian area. Don't they have Area 51 for things like this nature? They do, but we're not going to use it? Okay, no, makes sense. So the experiment was a success. Steve Rogers is all strong, but some Nazi jerk snuck his way into the lab and killed Dr. Fazeli after the experiment was done. Colonel Lewis informs Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, yeah, the Nazis are gonna fire a missile that's gonna hit a target on US soil. We can't have that. Steve's like, yeah man, send me there, I'll stop it. So they send him with the worst camouflage ever to the Nazi missile base, which I think was in Italy. And he has to fight his way to get into the base, which he does, and then he comes face to face with the Red Skull, which was that young Italian boy. So the Red Skull is Italian? Sure, Italy and Germany were allies in World War II, but like the Red Skull was a German the whole time. But yeah, sure, he's Italian. Okay, sure, whatever. So Red Skull kicks Captain America's ass like easily, straps him to the missile and say, yeah, we're gonna send this to the White House. How do you like that? So Cap grabs Skull's hand and says, well, you're coming with me then. In a fight of desperation to get free, Red Skull cuts off his own hand. So he frees himself that way. Quick thought. Why wouldn't you cut off the hand of the person holding you? Or, you know, you have a knife, so why not stab the guy in the face or something? Like, any way to get free instead of doing harm to yourself. But, okay, I guess that shows your determination to get the job done. So the missile's flying to the United States. There's a kid named Tom Kimball in front of the White House taking pictures, and he sees this missile coming in. The army, nobody's seen it, but this kid did. Takes a picture, sees that there's a person on it. Like, holy crap. Captain America sees this kid, is like, well, I don't need him to get hit by a missile, so I'm gonna make this missile go off course, which he does, and saving the day, and then the missile lands harmlessly in Alaska. What? How much fuel does this thing have? Like, the amount of fuel to get from Europe to North America is quite a bit, and now you gotta go across North America to Alaska? And when this thing lands, it doesn't detonate, it doesn't blow up, just a nice peaceful landing. The logic in this one kind of hurts the head sometimes. This young Tom Kimball tells his friend Sam, yeah, there's this dude, man, it was awesome, blah, blah, blah. Years go by, and Tom Kimball becomes the president of the United States. Also around this time, Steve Rogers was found still strapped to the missile that apparently isn't dangerous, and a group of scientists help thaw him out. To which he just breaks out of the ice and is like, yeah, I'm gonna leave, I'm out of here. Like, you're not gonna stick around for a moment or two? Collect your bearings? Maybe take a bathroom break? Get some food? If you need any medical attention? Anything? You're just gonna walk off suspended animation like it was nothing? Okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah. President Kimball finds out about this and he calls his buddy Sam like, hey man, why don't you go up to Alaska and check this out? That's the guy we always talked about. At this same time, the Red Skull is still alive. He's had a lot of plastic surgery to look more human again. And he is the kingpin of an international cartel. And he sends his daughter Valentina to Alaska like, hey, that's my old enemy. Why don't you kill that guy? So like, miraculously, Captain America, Valentina, and Sam wind up in the exact same spot in northern British Columbia, Canada at the exact same time. which is just well beyond coincidence. And of course, a fight ensues. Sam helps Cap get, out of there. And then to show his gratitude, Captain America steals his truck, takes off to California, to his old home down his own street. His girlfriend Bernice is still living in the same house she did, but she's obviously, much older. So Steve starts hanging out with her daughter, Sharon, Valentina, and her evil crew, and go to California, kill Bernice and her husband to try to get a hold of Captain America. So Cap and Sharon have to flee. They want to get some clues of where Red Skull is. So they go to the old lab that was under Roz's cafe. Of course, a couple of walls were just boarded up on this experimental cafe, and nobody ever thought to look into the building during renos. Like, the army didn't think to clean things out or anything, because Steve easily gets into the old lab and find Dr. Vasili's old diary, which is ridiculous because they did mention earlier how they had no information on the Red Skull or anything. Like, Dr. Vasili didn't leave any notes or anything, but all of a sudden Steve finds her old diary? You're telling me US intelligence wouldn't have looked through her office? Like, her specific desk? Anything for any information? Of course they wouldn't. So Steve and Sharon, find out that the Red Skull came from Italy, so that's where we're gonna look, because he would never have moved anywhere in the world, especially after, World War II ended and all that. No. So they go to Rome, and what happened completely off screen was that President Kimball was making a trip to Rome, and well, the Red Skull and his cartel kidnapped him, gonna brainwash him and control him for their own nefarious needs. While in Rome, there is like the worst assassination attempt ever made against Steve and Sharon from Valentina. It's just horrible. But that doesn't work. Sharon gets a hold of Valentina's purse, which contains her passport. So now they know where the Red Skull lives. So if Valentina was part of this international cartel, wouldn't she have a fake passport? Something to hide your identity, not your real name, not your real address? That seems like basic mafia stuff. But whatever, why start the logic now, I guess? So they go to Red Skull's castle. President Kimball is there being, worked on, I guess. Sharon gets kidnapped and she's in jail there too. So Cap's gotta bust in and save everybody. But President Kimball breaks out of his cell. He's now Captain America's sidekick, and like he's living out that kid fantasy in him of fighting Nazis with Captain America, so good on him. Of course, the Red Skull gets away. He goes to his piano on a cliff. So there is a detonator on the piano, which he sets on a timer, of course, and that bomb is gonna blow up half of Europe. So Captain America knocks him off the cliff. The Red Skull falls to his death. Somehow, some way, that stops the detonator? There really is no explanation on how this detonator works. It seems like it was just a timer. Maybe if there's an elevation change, it stops? I guess that's the only thing that makes sense, but it still doesn't make sense. So either way, the day is saved. Red Skull is dead. Arrivederci. And that, my friends, is where this fantastic little story ends. Whew, that's, oh man. Whew. It's too hot for a toucan here today. Oh my god. I remember watching this one when I was a kid when it first came out, and I liked it pretty goodly, but I still noticed a lot of flaws in it. Like most of the flaws that I pointed out when I was talking about it earlier. Even as a kid, a lot of those things kind of threw me out of the movie, but at the same time, this is the first time you see a full suited Captain America doing his thing. So like that part is really cool. Kind of rewatching it now, it's kind of, I'm really spoiled by the MCU versions, so to kind of compare the two, this one doesn't really turn up that good. Just a lot of things that don't really seem to make sense. And the parts of the story that worked together for a cohesive story was such a stretch. Like 3 groups of people meet up in northern British Columbia randomly. That's not a small area, but all of a sudden, it's just so ridiculous. I guess that's the part that makes it fun. I do like cheesy kind of movies like that. This one's not really campy, but like the script is just cheesy. So I still do like it. Like, there were things that were really good about it, right? Like Steve Rogers' redemption arc. Like, from a kid having polo to becoming the super soldier, to failing in World War II, but still saving the day, to redeeming his failure against the Red Skull after in Italy, of all places. Like, that was pretty good. It is what it is. Those 90s low-budget Marvel movies made in some foreign country, they had their own charm to it. And this one, not my favorite superhero movie by any stretch. But then again, this wasn't the first time I watched it, so I guess they did something right. I wouldn't say go and rush out and watch it as soon as you can, but if you do get to watch it, go for it. Even if you have one of those parties where you kind of pick apart a movie, this would be a pretty good one to do. So just like Steve Rogers, I'll give it a thumb, but that's all you got from me, man. Okay, so let's just start out with some of the basics. Captain America was introduced to the world in March of 1941 in Captain America Comics #1, which was part of the Timely Comics group. Timely, of course, basically became Marvel Comics, and they were producing these comics until 1950. Interest kind of took a little downturn after the war, but there was a small revival in 1953 with Captain America, but that only lasted, very not long. Of course, when Marvel was starting to do their thing, they decided to bring Captain America back. So he was resurrected from suspended animation in Avengers #4 in 1964, and he has been a staple character for Marvel ever since. So this movie featured is the third live-action incarnation of Captain America. The first one happened in 1944. It was a 15-chapter movie, basically TV serial, and it really deviated from the comic books. So in that one, you had a character named Captain America, and you had that character wearing the Captain America suit. That is where the similarities end. It was not Steve Rogers, it was Grant Gardner. He was not a soldier, he was a district attorney. No super soldier serum, no World War II battle, none of that. There were two made-for-TV movies in 1979, and they got closer to the story, so it was Steve Rogers. He was not a World War II veteran. His dad was the World War II veteran, and he got the super soldier serum. He got this uniform, which I don't know what the hell they were thinking when they designed this, but in Captain America 2, Death Too Soon, they gave him more of a proper suit, and it's really all you need, man. Just make the guy look like the guy. Of course, you have this one that followed, and we wouldn't see a live-action Captain America until 2011 with the MCU, Captain America, the First Avenger, and all the other movies they made with him after that. So let's just do a quick compare-a-maroo with this Captain America and the one from the comics and MCU. Of course, we'll find the comics and the MCU ones are pretty much the same. This one's all wacky different, but let's get into it. Right off the bat, Steve Rogers is from New York City, New York. In this movie, he is from Redondo Beach, California. Originally, Red Skull is a German named Johann Schmidt. This one, he's an Italian named Zado DeSantis. I still don't understand why. Red Skull has a daughter named Cynthia Schmidt. Except in this one, his daughter is Valentina DeSantis. Basically the same character, so okay, good on that. The scientist who created the super soldier serum was a German Jewish scientist, Dr. Abraham Erskine. In this one, it's an Italian scientist, Dr. Maria Vaselli. Originally, Captain America is fighting the Nazis, and then fighting an offshoot of the Nazis with Hydra. This movie, he's fighting more, the Nazis, but more their Italian fascist friends, and then later on not fighting Hydra but fighting Red Skull and his international cartel, the worldwide mob, I guess. So in the comics, Captain America had a couple of love interests. Of course, in 1940s it was with Peggy Carter, who just kicks ass. In the 1980s, he was with a lawyer named Bernadette Rosenthal, or Bernie for short. This movie was kind of a mix of the two. With Bernice Stewart, Captain America would hang out with a younger relative of Peggy Carter, Sharon Carter, and in this movie, he's hanging out with Bernice's daughter, Sharon Cooperman, so yeah, I guess that's kind of the same. So like all things MCU, it's really cool to see a bunch of different superheroes come together for a story. With this one, just a quick snippet here and there, back in the 1940s scenes, there was really quick mention of two Marvel superheroes that were around at that time, the Submariner and the original Human Torch. Not Johnny Storm from Fantastic Four, but the android version. They were around back then and they were fighting in the war, I do believe. Nice that they mentioned them, but it would have been cool to see them as well. But this movie definitely did not have a budget for anything outside what they'd shown. Financially, it was running on fumes, but I digress. This movie was in the works since 1984. There were a lot of changes to the scripts since then to this movie. One of the things that stuck around for the longest time was the inclusion of the character Sam Wilson, aka the Falcon. legendary actor Steve James was attached to play the role of that character, and I think that would have been awesome. But with new directors and writers coming into it, they wrote that character out. Maybe if they made a sequel, he would have been there, but I guess not. This movie could have been pretty different as well. Matt Solinger was not the first person approached to play Captain America. You had Arnold Schwarzenegger, which would have been wild, but his accent kind of disqualified him from that. Dolph Lundgren was also asked, but he went on to play the Punisher in the same kind of budgeted movie, himself, so I guess no. And even Val Kilmer was asked, but he went to do the Doors movie instead. But he did come back to the superhero world by playing Batman with that thick rubber suit. And the suit made from those Batman movies was made by the same company who made this rubberized suit for Captain America here. It was pretty thick and pretty heavy, and they were filming this movie in the summer in Yugoslavia, where there was a pretty good heat wave going on. Temperatures got up to 102 degrees Fahrenheit, or 40 degrees Celsius for the rest of the world, and you're in that heat in a rubber suit? Man, I'm like surprised dude didn't pass out with a heat stroke. Like, that is pretty intense. That is not a breathable suit. They did make some compromises with the suit though. Originally, he did have holes cut out for his ears in his head mask, but it became really uncomfortable for him. Really chafing at his, around his ears. So they modified the suit and just made rubber ears going on top. You can't really see it unless you're really staring at it, but them ears ain't real. Right on, and there you go. So thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked it as much as I did making it. Also, feel free to check out the source material that I featured in this video. And if you want to leave a comment on anything you may have liked or things I might have missed in this, feel free to do so. Or anything else, just to say hi. That's cool too. And other than that, have a great day. Thanks.